So I'm Bethany and Kelley, and my piece is called There You Are, or I feel like I say it more like, there you are. That's kind of more like where the inflection would be with this piece. This piece was really important for me to create. Having LOCAVORE as like the prompt to get me to sit down and think through my practice was really important for me. It sort of allowed me to inventory my current art practice. My background is I'm a self-taught woodworker. That's what my art has been. That's how I've been expressing myself about like these last 4 years. But I had become more and more curious as I got to know other artists, as my art world began to expand, and I started to identify as an artist instead of just like a woodworker or maker or a crafty person. I started to become more and more curious about where I should go with that, and painting and the canvas just kept coming back to me. But again, I have zero experience with that. But I taught myself woodworking, a very dangerous thing. I could surely teach myself how to paint indoors. So anyway, the reason why this was so important at that time was I felt like I had my feet in two different worlds. The maker woodworking world, where I was successful and had a business and things were going great, and then this world of painting and more like fine art, where I didn't know the vocabulary or the people or what I even was going to produce. So this piece right here became sort of a hybrid. What I did is I took woodworking material. I took a panel board. Picture what would come off of like IKEA furniture, really. So it has a little bit of flex to it. And I took that and I did one of my first paintings on it, an abstract style, which now that it's been some months later, I can see that it continues to be where I go as a painter on canvas. And I took it and then I did what I do best. I went out to my garage and I chopped it up. I used my table saw, I used my scroll saw, I used my sanders, I used all the tools that I love and I feel comfortable with and I feel like I can express myself using. And then I reconfigured it. I put it back together again, I reassembled it. It's woven for a reason though. There's great symbolism in that for me. I tried out a lot of different things with it. Katya she's a good friend of mine and she even saw once when she came over, there's a pile on my floor and I had it look more like firewood maybe. And I tried out a lot of different things and this weaving is what I came back to and it's what felt right. And I believe the reason for that, for me, is I've realized that my art is very relational, and it's about community. This community right here, but also, nowadays, the social media community is something that a lot of us can be part of, and so it goes even globally, but certainly here in Rochester, it's been really important. And the weaving together, to me, it's really symbolic of that. I could look at all of these different pieces and on any given day, I could come up with this many stories of ways that we're paralleling each other, or we have helped carve out pieces in each other, or different things conversations I've had with artists, conversations that have taken place here or different places, where it has altered people's practices. And helped people grow, which is what it's all about, right? Because all this art would still exist without us looking at it, but it exists a whole lot differently when we do what we're doing tonight and we listen to each other talk about it. I learned a whole lot about these different pieces that makes me want to come back and stare at them even longer. So anyway, the other thing that I just need to mention about this piece, or I'll regret it later, is that the big realization I had is I'd been questioning the past 4 years of my woodworking, where was the theme? I was doing a lot of different work, a lot of commissioned stuff, and then my own things on the side, but I realized in looking back on a really big portfolio of work is there was absolutely a theme, and the theme was texture was hugely important to me. I would I'd sand things to then go ahead and make the divots. I'd hit things. I'd do whatever to give it that extra texture and the warmth and that history. And then so texture and then color. My stuff always had tons of color in it. And if it was more neutral in colors, there was a good reason for that. It was speaking very loudly in a subtle way. And then movement. If you look at my pieces, I'm always, again, using the different kind of belt sanders and hand sanders I have, I'm always trying to create some sort of movement. So I wanted to, in this hybrid piece where I was bridging the gap between the two worlds, I wanted to actually use those three components as my subject matter. So it was no longer me creating things in the outside world, it was celebrating my champions of my studio these past 4 years as I kind of make my way to a new horizon of art. And recognizing that it doesn't mean leaving behind what has sort of been with me all these years. I can actually carry those elements into other work that I'm doing. And I have been doing that since getting this piece on the wall, and it's really cool to come back and look at it, because this was a huge aha moment for me. And it has 2 other sister pieces. So there's 3 of them that this ended up helping me to create, but this was number 1. So.